Hi guys, here we go, another week. Uh, I suppose the biggest news now is the cooling measures on the 30th of September. It came so sudden. For what I know, it was like 11:50 something. So basically, there's almost no chance for you to act because it seems that the measures were generally targeted towards more of the HDB sector where it has been running on hot steam for quite a lot of consecutive quarters really. And of course, when it comes to private and public housing, the one that government is more concerned about is naturally the public housing because if too many of the $1 million, we are not talking about just scraping over $1 million. I don't think government actually really bothers too much about just scraping $1 million. I think they are more concerned about those that are hitting consistently 1.3, 1.4, 1.4 plus, trying to beat each other. Those are the ones that are pulling up the RPI, the resale price index, like crazy, and that doesn't reflect very well on the property market, especially for the HDB side. And hence, I think that was the reason why they threw in the cooling measures. And of course, not to say that the private sector was untouched lah. It was still affected, but not too as bad as the resale market. But later we'll examine the impacts. It doesn't mean that the private side will actually drop a lot. So let's see. Okay, why I say this one is that the HDB buyer and seller, they couldn't react in time because let's say for those people who you see, I'm not sure whether it's stated over here, but what we know is that the measures were based on those applications that were already submitted by both buyers and sellers. So imagine the buyer already exercised, already waiting, and then they suddenly saw this text, this circular come out at 11:50 something, and then maybe by the time they try to contact the seller will be asleep. Most of the seller will be asleep at this time, 11:50 something, right? And even if they are not asleep, take a look at this cooling measure. By the time they digest, and hey, we gotta submit this a before all these measures take into effect. Less than 10 minutes for them to digest and then for them to submit application. They basically cannot react. So it came in very, very much of a sudden. And was it really meant to be like that? I think obviously if you look at the past few cooling measures that were thrown in previously, it was meant to stop people from reacting because they don't want the reenactment of what happened in 2018 where ABSD, LTV, ATB, ABSD was increased, LTV was decreased, and then you've got a whole bunch of people flogging things like the condo launches such as Park, Colonial, and also Riverfront. They don't want this kind of thing happening again. So they generally seems to be getting from not say bad to worse, getting from yeah, basically bad to worse for those people who are looking to enter or make a move in the market lah. Because previously, I think for the December cooling measures, it was 11:30 something. Then after that, it become even nearer to 12 o'clock. And this time, it was less than 10 minutes to 12 o'clock by the time most people receive it. And I think that was their main intention. Later, we'll take a look at some of the articles that some of the articles from Straits Times that people were voicing out their concerns lah. But was it expected? I think pretty much. In fact, later I'll be sharing based on my previous video, in case the one on letter models aftermath, I kind of predicted, I kind of not say kind of predicted, I kind of expected that there will be a cooling measure, which I did mention at the end. Okay, and later we'll talk about it. But now we look at the main few things about the cooling measure on the 30th or rather 29th of September, which kicked in on 30th September lah. So you can see this one is about HDB resale market, and then you've got the HDB LTV was affected also. HLE will be affected because of the floor rate, but the actual loan is still untouched at this moment. It doesn't mean that it won't move. It will still be untouched at this moment because it usually pegged to 0.1 plus the OA rate. But instead of being qualified at this, they increase the loan eligibility to 3% because they want to encourage prudent borrowing. You can see this one is the whole aim of this cooling measure from this joint MAS, MND, HDB, everything. In fact, there was a lot of hoo-ha, there was a lot of mess because some of the definitions of this, like for example, was this based on the date of OTP, or is it date of exercise, or is it date of submission? There were a lot of hoo-ha. There was so basically lawyers were scrambling. Buyers were asking agents, were clarifying with lawyers were clarifying with HDB officers giving very different answers. So the whole market was in a big mess on 30th of September morning. And probably that's why some of you try to reach your agent, and your agent took a very long time to respond, because probably most of the time they also are trying that they also have trouble trying to digest and find out what exactly are the cooling measures really about, because there were people who say that, oh, optional issue already, never mind, it's okay, it's based on B, as long as you grant the option before 30th September, you're fine. But actually it wasn't. It was based on the submission of HDB application for both sellers and buyers. So even if your buyer has submitted by right, you have 7 days in between, right? But if your seller come in later, then too bad, your application is gone. And I myself, I do have a transaction that was submitted. I sold my HDB. I sold a HDB about 1 week plus back. And then the buyer was taking his time to exercise. And now that he's telling me that because he's a condo downgrader, now that he's telling me that he cannot proceed and he's regretting it. And that is that's the whole gist of why in this market you shouldn't be waiting to proceed with your plans, because especially when you know the market is hot, anything can strike. And why do we have cooling measures that actually work? Because you catch people off guard. If you catch people, hey, come on guys, 1 month later we are going to have this cooling measure, then how is it going to be cooling? I mean, the whole point of cooling a market is to catch people off guard so that many people get affected, and hence as a result you cool the market, and that is what the government's intention is. So this was based on for this you have the TDSR and then the MSR, which will apply to loans where the OTP was granted on or after. Okay, and then these are the main gist of it lah. And then this one was the one that actually I feel hit the market the most. We've got the wait out period of 15 months for condo downgraders. So even if you are selling now, you haven't sold yet, or you already sold, the buyer exercise already, but you haven't managed to buy and submit your HDB application to HDB, that's it. You are being cut out of this market. Okay, why are they doing this? Is because they want to reduce the demand for HDB resale from these condo downgraders, because not say all of them are actually make money. They are quite some of them, especially the those with more advanced age, they make quite a lot of profit, because those that bought like property 10 to 20 years ago, some of them are sitting on $1 million, $2 million kind of profit, and especially with some of them being on block, so there's a lot of money, and they think it's time for me to downgrade already. They have a lot of money, and these are the guys coming in and pumping in 1.4, $1.3 million into the HDB market, and this is what frustrates the market and also the government, because it doesn't look well on the public sector, but it's based on the current policy, and hence this is a temporary measure which may be reviewed. They say may be reviewed, but it may or may not be reviewed depending on how fast the market recovers from this impact. So these are the main things that you have is, I think most of you by now you would have seen this already lah. This is the gist of it. So as usual, the disclaimer, whatever I share today, just based on my own point of view, my own research, doesn't represent anybody else. So make sure you do the due diligence before you make any move. Okay, so like what I mentioned, on 25th of September, I did a video on the aftermath of the Letter Modern, because of how hot the condos launch was. 84% on the launch weekend. I think this was the one that kind of broke the camel's back. And then the government say, okay, enough is enough. Come on, because of you guys, we got a 9-year leasehold in OCR now. Even though we throw in so many pieces of land, you still want to go and buy 2,500. Come on, guys, we gotta do something. And then guess what? This one comes in also, double whammy. And that's it. And based on this, my previous video, I also expected that they are going to be doing something to TDSR. the total debt servicing ratio. And it's not just a MSR, not just a TDSR, even the MSR these times get affected. So previously in the video I was talking about, or maybe instead of 55, they may move down to 50%, but apparently they didn't move in this sense. They moved in another way. Based on 3.5% per annum, they moved to 4.0 per annum kind of assessment. And is it going to make it, is it going to be worse? I think it may be. If the Federal Reserve is going to make it worse, they are going to increase the rates by another few 2 or 3 more times 75. I think definitely this one has to move again. And this one will also have to move. So those of you who already, you're on the borderline, like what I mentioned in the video, you're on the borderline and you're still waiting for the market to crash. The market will crash. But the first one to be wiped out of the market will be you. The one that is always on the borderline will always be the one that first to get up. So if you're in the middle class, you're in the low, middle, lower, middle, upper, whichever it is, you're looking to you're looking to purchase something. Not to say that you're stretching, because ultimately TDSR currently we have 55%. Government already throw in a 55% previously based on 3.5%, and now it's a 4.0% per annum sort of risk assessment. And so the government already help you save your so-called 45% of the disposable income already. And because of that, if you are still looking at your maximizing your TDSR at 55%, I think you better be doing something. If you want to proceed with your plan, you better be doing something already, because by the time this actually moves again, then definitely you're out. Maybe this time you just quit, but next time you'll definitely be out. Okay, so this was what I mentioned, and boom, it really happened. Okay, so like what I mentioned, if it really happened, you can call me the oracle. Really, really, maybe I should start calling myself the oracle. Okay, oracle of nonsense. So yep, that is the so-called fortunate and unfortunate thing. Not to say that it's really unfortunate, because in every situation there will be people who benefit, there will be people who don't benefit. In most people will so-called, you don't get stuck, you're wipe out the market. But if you think about it, maybe for our descendants next time, if the market slows down a little bit, it's better for them, because they are sometimes if you ask me, actually I'm worried that next time my kids will have a very, very tough time trying to own a property. And hence what I'm trying to do now is either you join the market or you're out of the market. So, but the thing is that if you don't get something today, you don't position yourself well, if you don't position yourself well for your kids next time, other people will be doing it, and that's it. You'll be out. And then next time, when the kids want to get one for themselves, you realize this it's a lot harder. Like it or not, we're going to be like Hong Kong eventually, but of course at a much lower rate because of how actively the government is throwing in a cooling measure. But eventually, we are definitely heading in that direction, which is not exactly a bad thing, because everyone is trying to enter Singapore. Okay. Let's see. This is not the first cooling measure. We've got another one on the 23rd of September. Because this one just came in 22nd, then you got this one 23rd. This is not really like a major cooling measure, but how it actually helped to cool the market is that you reduce the attractiveness of en bloc now. Why? Because when en bloc happens, generally developers will have to pay existing owners, those en bloc owners, they have to pay them quite a high price. And these guys will take the money, they make money through property. Where do you go? They will definitely put most of the money back into the market, whether it be a $1 million house, $1 million HDB, or is it going to be upgrade, whichever it is. So these guys are going to be loaded, and the government don't want that to be happening too early. And if the developers buy the land too expensive, they're going to be selling it and passing it on to the consumers even more expensive, which in turn drives the market faster. And the government, I definitely feel that they do not see why this should be happening anytime soon, and hence they increase this to make it less attractive for developers to go en bloc now. And it's not, they have been trying to increase the supply in terms of GLS, which is usually the easier way out for developers, because it's cheaper, slightly cheaper. It really depends on but then again, the downside is that there's always the tender system. Okay. No, this is not the cooling, the 30th September is not the first cooling measure. This one was a smaller one in that sense. And this already sent a signal before that. And then we take a look at this article we just came out today. You got scrambling to adjust to changes. All these resale buyers previously. And this was how the HDB resale price index was. It has been rising ever since COVID. It's been rising on a straight line, which is quite terrifying. So is it like unreasonable that government is doing this? Actually, to think about it from a broader perspective is actually not. So you've got people who already abandoned their plans, they don't want to do this, don't do that because they will be affected. Although it's a temporary measure, you've got this guy already said, wow, the sudden cooling measure ruined all my plans. This one is targeted towards people like myself. So it's unfortunate, but I'm glad you know, right? This guy, I'm glad you know that is targeted towards you, as because it's mainly targeted towards people who are below 55 years old. Okay, and then two main big moves. You got the floor rate that we mentioned just now, and also lowering the LTV HDB from 85% to 80%. Okay, over here, and then you've got what happened is that the private owners either they have to go out there sell the house already, go out there and rent for 15 months before they can start buying their HDB resale, or they basically just don't move around, just don't sell lor. And what happens is that first of all, if they want to continue selling, they still don't want to proceed and they want to go and rent. Will they be selling cheap? Because they know they're going to be renting 15 a month, right? And assuming if let's say they go and rent a $5,000 to $6,000 per month kind of rental, 15 month that will be maybe about 90 plus $1,000. Will they be selling it at the same price? They will probably be expecting, since I'm going to be renting for 15 months already, instead of selling at 2.1, I need to be selling at 2.2 million. Okay, then what happens? Private prices will end up going up because they want to sell higher to cover their rental costs. The other thing is that since they cannot downgrade already and they sold already, what do they have to do? What can they do? The only alternative is just go back to private again. No? So they will go back and go and buy private again. So private, not say resale, even the new one, the private in general will end up getting pushed up. And also the other thing that gets pushed up is your rental. Okay, you already realize that the rental market is already red hot like that, but you got this whole bunch of people who already sold their flat and now they trying to scramble to rent instead for quite a long term, and hence this suddenly push the favor back towards landlord again, and it's just going to get worse. And we know that nowadays you got some of the new condos just TOP already, the studios are 100 plus square meter are renting up $4,000 plus there. So that's how crazy the market is. Okay, and those are not even like CCR kind of property. Just to remind, just for you to have an idea of how crazy it is right now. Okay, so let's say for this example, this one is a quite interesting example, which is quite typical of not say just Singaporeans, basically people who are looking at property, quite some of them who are so-called what I call complacent. You realize that, any tightening is especially hard because it's based on single income, blah, blah, blah. And then the thing is that, they thought that HDB is getting out of hand. So they choose to wait and see. They choose to wait, slowly take their own sweet time. They sell their bedroom already, and then now they slowly shop. And guess what? I didn't think that it will be this drastic and didn't expect it to affect us. We are not the demographic that the measures are targeting. So they are trying to appeal. But the thing is, once you appeal, it becomes a question mark. So why do you want to take a chance? Right? So, and the thing is that a lot of people think that, this one cooling measure will affect me or will affect me. But when it actually does affect you, then what happens? You'll just be crying and complaining, but is it going to help the situation? Definitely not. So a lot of people are waiting. They're waiting for the market to crash. They're waiting for the market to cool. Cooling measure here and there. Wow, the more hot already. Government did to throw cooling measure. Then throw already. Then gonna what? What happened? Shit. What I wanted, what I planned for, cannot continue already. Then how? Okay, like I got some clients. They kind of tell me, how our loans gonna affected already leh. Yeah, how? Previously I told you need to start shopping already. Now You need a lower expectation, no? If not, you have to totally change your plan, no? But the thing is, you can only regret, ma. I mean, at least I've done my fair share. I told you already, make some urgency. The thing is that people like to get, not to say they like to get caught out in their work, but the thing is, you want to realize that housing property is not a small ticket item. I strongly believe if you really need to make a move, you really need to do your research ASAP and really set some time to really do your research ASAP. And not, after your whole day hectic work already, maybe I got 5 minutes. Okay, let's start looking at a little bit of property. I'm very tired already, I'm going to sleep. And then you realize by the time you actually fully digest and ready to go already, if fully measure don't come, maybe you're paying 50 to 100K more. Which, if you think about it, maybe for the average worker, it would have been maybe your whole year worth of salary, or maybe most of the year's kind of salary. So why would you spend that time? You might jump to go and take no pay leave and just go and look at property, or maybe even spend 1 month looking at property, make a decision already, spend the rest of the month on a holiday. Isn't it the same? I mean, why are you slogging, giving yourself that kind of pressure and end up paying more? And that is something that I feel people really need to digest. And if you are looking to make a move, you really, really, really need to sit down and think about why and what you should be doing. Okay. Okay. So then we talk about the BTOs one. Thankfully, for the BTO people, in August, they are not affected by the LTV. And then you've got the 15 month, which is a little bit interesting. It seems that based on the one of the clauses in OTP, we need to know by right is not refundable. By right is not refundable option fee, but because this is not the fault of the seller and the buyer, so and hence the seller will have to refund. Because if not for those seller who are thinking, wow, shit, I solo the $1,000, I solo the $5,000, but actually this is not the fault of the buyer, but it's the fault of the market, and if that's the case, then you may have to refund the buyer. But of course, what the buyers can do is that you can assess it case by case basis. And also for those I literally had just built one building today. We've got I had a husband more than 55 years old, wife is a few years younger than 55 years old. And this case just came out and it says that both owners had to be at least 55 years old. If not, then this thing won't be waived. All right. So as a general summary of the cooling measures, you've got the private supply is likely going to drop because people are thinking, I cannot downgrade already, then I don't proceed my plan. Also, you cut the supply to a certain extent, because there are owners who will just wait and see lah. They don't do anything lah. Since I cannot downgrade anyway, then I don't do lah. So they don't want to sell, which will cut the supply, and there will be increased demand because of people who cannot downgrade and they already sell the place. They will have to go back to private again. Okay, that will be another driving point for private. So it seems that the government at this point doesn't seem to be touching a private as much. They are still touching because the TESR floor rate was increased from 3.5 to 4%. But still, it seems that at this point HDB is still the focus right now. And the next thing will be rental demand will get pushed up because of those people who already sold and then need a place. And they are not going to be buying private. They need to downgrade, because like this guy over here, he says if he stay on my condo, my CP will be wiped out. So he doesn't want to eat into his cash reserve. So people like them, they will die want to wait, and then they will end up for their rent off, because they feel that they cannot afford the condo lifestyle already. But there are people like that lah. So hopefully we are not like those lah. Or maybe this guy, I really don't think that he's overstretching. Probably he's just being a little bit, he just don't want to touch cash. Some people are just like this. And then you've got the private property owners who are mostly eliminated from the HDB resale market that are higher quantum, such as the 5 bedrooms. So these people, the seniors they cannot touch the 5 bedroom, but they can touch the 4 room. So it's not to say that it's entirely eliminated, because most of them with a lot of cash, they tend to be quite advanced in age already, So is it totally wiped out already? Not really. There will still be demand. I'm still marketing another $1 million flat right now. There are still healthy demand over there. So if you ask me whether it will still be a significant drop in million dollar flats, I think it will drop, but is it going to be totally off? Some of the good location 4 rooms are still going to be transacting above 1 mil. But I don't think government really want to stop people from selling at above 1 mil. They want to stop people from selling, stacking above the next 1.3, $1.4 million, which will end up pushing the RPI. So likely the RPI will be stagnating for the next 1 or 2 quarters, I feel. Okay, and I don't think if this works well, I don't think the government will want to throw in any more cooling measures at least for the next few months. Then again, a lot of things can happen in the next 2 to 3 months. So let's not look too far ahead. And then as such, like what we mentioned just now, HDB price, the RPI should stop climbing as fast. It may still climb a little bit, although but it shouldn't climb as fast as the past few quarters lah. So just remember the TDSR side. So the middle income people will definitely, especially if you're on the borderline, you will be priced out, which will help to lower the demand by a little bit. Those on the lower income, they're probably not going to be trying to touch a private, so they are not affected. Those people on the high income, they are probably not stretching to their TDSR limit, so they are also not going to be affected. But those people who are falling in the 50% to 55% TDSR to max out your loan, then these people are effectively almost being wiped out of the market. Okay, so that's why you have to be careful. Those people who usually they can afford. Example, this guy who earns $1 million, he definitely won't be affected because his TDSR is because he's probably gonna buy a place that is gonna have a TDSR loan assessment of less than 45%. Okay, so for HDB affordability, it will drop a little bit also because of the LTV thing and also of the interest rate, and that will be the main few expectations coming up in the market lah. Will private sentiment will be affected as a result? I think definitely a lot of people will be shelving their plans or totally changing their plans. On the other hand, the rental market is going to expected to be very, very, very hot for at least for the next 1 month. As all these people who sold their place already scramble in this month to try and get accommodation. Okay. So before I wrap up today, I think something we need to reinforce and think about again is that we need to remember this race. It won't happen to me. That's the funny thing. Those people who choose to sit at the sideline, and are on the borderline. Those people who choose to sit at the sideline with loads and loads and loads of cash, that one your problem lah, because you can't afford to wait lah. But those people who you are on the borderline, please stop thinking like this. You cannot afford to think like this, because once you think like this, usually you're the first to turn out. You're the kind. You're the target audience where you are very vulnerable. Then if you want to move up to you want to take your place in the private sector race, then I think you gotta act fast. Okay, especially those who just got affected, but you're still in a race, you're still in the market. Okay, it's just that maybe to you now, the TDSR is based on it's just is a way for government to manage and assess risk for us consumers. It doesn't mean that TDSR give me a loan rate of 1.5%. Wow, I'm not going to be touching 1.5%. You can touch $1.5 million. You can touch $1.5 million. It's just that you have to always prepare your rainy day cash, your reserve funds, where it can be cash, it can be OA. As long as you do a due diligence, prepare for rainy days, then I don't think that's going to be something that is very, 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 very risky. Because like what I mentioned before, a lot of people like to say, last time 2000 something, 1990 something, if I got the money, I should go and buy property. But problem is you got the money, but you no guts. Because you keep thinking that it's so expensive, so expensive. So that is the thing. A lot of people be those people who bought last time. But last time they didn't have the kind of information that we had. So if I didn't have the kind of information last time, I may or may not have the kind of guts to go and commit. And last time they didn't have TDS. They will just offer out 10% deposit, bank matched another 90%, and then go and buy the next few, go and buy next 10 houses. That was how they play big. So they go big, go home. And then if they get burned, they also get burned big. That is the problem with the market. That was the problem with the market last time. And actually, if you ask me, yes, the money was very good, but is it worth the risk? I think I personally, I'm still generally quite a low risk person. So I don't think I want to play in that kind of market. Whereas in today's market, the government is working very, very, very hard to stabilize the market. So this is something that probably I would trust a lot more. Okay, and that will be what we'll be having for today. I think we really shared enough for cooling measures. So those of you who are affected, you feel lost, you may PM me and let's see how it can help. And but for those of you who are still sitting at the side thinking of how to enter the market, you can. I think there are still some opportunities here and there, but you have to be very clear on what are you buying in. And if you really need help, or if you not say really need help, if you do need some help to clarify and then know what are the places that you can enter the market to park your assets and grow them in a safe manner, then just drop me a text and I'll see how I can help. Okay, that'll be all for today. And see you guys. Bye bye.